Hey guys, it's your boy RJ. Today's going to be a bit different than I usually post, but I just kind of want to get my thoughts on how people portray autism and ADHD. Some people think it's kind of this kind of quirky thing or this OCD kind of thing, but there's a lot of downsides, and some people aren't really like mentioning it if they don't have it. But I have seen, like, since I recently got TikTok, I have seen people actually mention their side of having ADHD or autism, and it really, like, reminded me of my problems and my struggles when it comes to it. So, yeah, let me just get straight into it. So, yeah, I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD at a very young age, and like around 6 years old, apparently. Not apparently. Around 6 years old, and I actually like apparently exhibited some signs of already having it. So probably like since I was born, and the doctors surprisingly said that I wasn't being able to speak. I wouldn't be able to communicate, think, like do any normal stuff kids can do. I would have to have hearing aids. I would have to have pills, like medicine stuff. But my parents said no to all that and kind of worked on me to help with my issues and some of the things, bad habits that I showed. And without them, man, I wouldn't be like being able to do all the things I like. So it really shows how much determination they put into me, and I just gotta say I love them for that, and I'm really grateful for it, because some people don't have the kind of love to help them with that, or some type of parent guide to help them go through this kind of thing. So I'm really happy for that. But anyways, let me get into the core issues of how people kind of exhibit and some of the bad aspects that people won't really talk about as much. So one thing I gotta say about autism is that you're very sensitive. Like, not sensitive as in emotionally, more like sensitive. Like, senses are very heightened. So, like, hearing things, noses, like smelling, tasting, touching, like senses, they're very heightened and very prone. So, like, certain things might rattle you. Like, for me as a kid, I was like very sensitive. I like touching, holding on to people. So I like doing that. Like, okay, sorry. I like, like, you get what I mean. Like, holding on, it's like the grasp and the aspect. It's like holding on to someone, keeping them, and it's like feelings like comforting. Like comforting and helping. So that helps with me. Even when I was a kid, I still kind of do it, and like holding on to the shoulder or like poking them, stuff like that. But like when I was a kid, it was kind of worse. Like certain tastes, like having crust of like a bread in my mouth when having a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, would really like tick me off. Like it would be like ugh. So I always had that off, and car noises were like a big thing for my ears. Like as a kid, I was like always scared of like and like motorcycle noises, like engines running very loudly. And one of our neighbors had this like buggy, or like this weird it's like a buggy or something like that, and they were like the engine was like very loud. You can hear it all across the street. And I always, like, when I was playing outside, when I hear it, I would run back in the house and cover my ears. And it was like such a nerve-wracking feeling. I hated it. And my parents pushed me to like, come on, you can push your fears. And I was like, okay, let me dial into like, it will be fine. So helping with them, that helped me understand, okay, this is more tolerable. So yeah, as a kid, it's way worse. I think now, like sometimes for other people, it's kind of like you don't really have that many things, because a lot of kids, they're like crazy and stuff. So like with autism it's way harder, and since as a kid you're just trying to figure out stuff and like how you are, so it's way harder to deal with being on the spectrum as a kid sometimes, but in like middle school and high school it might be worse. So yeah, sensory things I really like focus on. Smells don't really affect me, but for some reason I always like garage or like certain types of like gas smells. Like it'll be like but like our old my old garage, I always loved the smell. So it's a weird thing. So yeah, sensory stuff. But one thing I gotta say can be like sometimes an irritation for most people on the spectrum is kind of the communication skills and reading the room. That's kind of the big vocal point there. Being on the spectrum, my time, as a kid, I was always kind of hard to express my feelings. When you're on the spectrum, it's kind of hard to vocal how you feel, how you think, and how you communicate is way different than other kids, and it's way harder to like express how you feel, how you are, and it's way harder to do that for some reason, and it's like you don't know how to, and you just like vocalize in many different ways, sometimes in anger most of the time. So for me it wasn't really anger, it was more like I don't know, it was like I found a way, but like sometimes I would get mad. So yeah, it was like I always found a way to like find a be like selfish or like rude and be like everyone's against me, I'm always sad, and it was kind of a bad thing for me. Like I always like took things way more serious than it was sometimes, and taking it way more than it actually was a problem I dealt with. That's for everyone, but I think since you're like on the spectrum, it kind of like nails down, since you think differently, it could affect you differently sometimes. But yeah, reading the room, my dad always taught me how to read the room, so I kind of got with that. Yeah, we just turned the light. Sorry, guys. You had to deal with that for like. But yeah, it was kind of hard to like figure out what people were trying to say and like try to put it into good words. Sometimes people would misread what I'm trying to say and think, so it was really hard to find a way to understand what's going on in the room. But yeah, it was just big problem. But yeah, it's kind of sad seeing how a lot of people on the spectrum is kind of like shunned and like demonetized in a way. Like Autism Speaks, or like the company that had like the puzzle pieces. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, apparently they were like very like treating autism like a disease and like a something to be cured, which is super messed up. Which I don't even know how you can cure something that is in the brain. Are you gonna give us a lobotomy or what? Like, come on. So it was just kind of messed up to see how that many people are affected. Some people probably had to go through church, and like people like baptizing you for literally being on the spectrum. Some people like you like hates you for literally being on the spectrum and call you like names and bully you for it. It's like, why? And it's hard to like vocal now, because like vocaling and communicating, it's way harder for us. So it's like, what are you supposed to do? Who do you tell? And it's just like so hard. And I've seen so many people get bullied and like get harassed for it, and it's like, man. And some people really use it as like a slur or like an insult to people, like, oh, you autistic. And I'm like, what do you like, why would you say that? And it really sucks that we had people on the spectrum really had to go through that. And since I don't really want to use like my term people, because it feels like I'm trying to put in a community when we're all people, and I kind of feel like sticking ourselves into each category kind of like defeats, like, keeps us like battling from each other, clashing. So I just want to say, for those who just like me, I'll be there for you, and it sucks, but don't worry, good times will happen, and I'll pray for you. So yeah, some things it's just kind of rough to deal with sometimes. But let's move on to ADHD, which is the most like weirdest thing ever. I never really thought about it, but a lot of people were like saying how like ADHD is kind of like this quirky or this kind of thing similar to OCD, which is kind of insane. It is true, it's close to OCD, but it feels like worse than OCD because you're kind of fixated on stuff. With that, it's like ADHD, it kind of piles on to more things. So with ADHD, you can't just leave something alone. You constantly think about it. You constantly overthink. You constantly get in your head trapped there sometimes. And it's like enraging because sometimes you'll overthink things. Sometimes you'll think to like think of things that like what would you even think about? Like you'll think about this random person and then like boom your brain just thinks about like, oh yeah, you were a lover, and it's like sometimes your brain will just add the most random things and then sometimes you'll blurt it out and like in a conversation that'll end up really bad in certain situations. So like it's really hard to like control your impulses because when it comes to ADHD, impulses is such a like bad thing, especially standing still. Like as a kid, I could never stand still. It was like ants were running all across my body. I'm not even joking. It was like as soon as I stand still, it was like tingling feelings all over my body that I needed to itch. And it was so hard to like stand still and like not move or like, not feel the urge to keep on moving. And now it's gotten a bit better with my like standing still, but everything else is still the same. And it's like, oh, like don't get me wrong, I love having ADHD and autism. I wouldn't like choose anything else. I love myself and I'm fine. I'll probably pick this over and over again, but people kind of assume that there's no downsides to it, and people who are on the spectrum or have ADHD, they're like, no, there's a lot of downsides. And now when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot. And like sometimes if yet say you ask this girl to dance and she says no, for like the entire night you start thinking about it, overthinking, thinking of different ways you could have approached her, thinking about what you did, and it's like memories keep flooding over and over again. And the worst thing is that you can't really do tasks. You can't really like focus on something. Like if you want to focus, you have to be really focused. Like it's really hard to focus onto one thing. Like taking out trash or trying to watch a specific video. You're saying, oh, I want to watch that video. You'll get sidetracked so easily. You'll be like doing other things and like, and you forget. It's like procrastination but on a whole nother level. And it's like so hard to focus on like if you have a regiment or like you want to get better and you want to do like, let's say like 20 sit-ups a day. Sometimes your brain will like forget or like focus on other things and you're like, oh my gosh, it sucks, like you overthink things and you get in your head about it and you're just stuck in this stance where you're like, come on brain, stop thinking about it. Like, like it sucks. It really does like irritate me sometimes when my brain like juggles and like plays around, and it's like sometimes I veer off and like try to focus on one thing, and then my brain tries to do other things at the same time when I don't need to. And some things I look at people like when I'm talking to people, I'll be like, oh yeah, and then my brain will like do other things, and it's really hard for people to like control the urges because like when it comes to ADHD, you kind of like your body takes over and does like random stuff. And it's hard to think before you do. And it's like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And then now your brain's doing the exact same thing I said earlier, and it's overthinking about it. And it's like, oh my gosh, and it's this endless cycle of on and off and on and off and off and off. It's like you have to constantly keep like refreshing your brain, but you can't. It's overstimulated. It's overstimulating, and somehow it's fine sometimes. It's like it could be really annoying, but like somehow I'm fine with it, probably because I dealt with it all my life. Well, like as a kid, it was even worse. Like I would get punishments, I would get whoopings, I would do like pump tires and stuff, all because my brain decided to veer off and I couldn't control my urges or do something that I wasn't supposed to do. And it's like, come on, brain. And it's like you want to do one thing, and then your brain wants to do the other thing, and then somehow your brain wins with your body and just does the thing you don't want to do. It's like you have two brains that is going against each other, and the brain that has ADHD wins all the time. And it's like, come on, the urges can't always win. So my parents really worked on that, and I'm glad that I don't have urges and I just constantly do it like random times, just like. But some people actually do it that on the daily, and I feel bad for them. So I can understand what you might go through if you have ADHD, because it really feels like you're just stuck, and like not stuck, but like keep on thinking about things that like you don't like, you shouldn't really focus on. And like I said earlier, most of the reasons why I take things further is because of kind of my ADHD overthinking things and then making it way more than it actually is, causing it to go like crazy and explode. And it's like, come on, control, brain, control. And I would say social media is not helping with that at all. Like, not even a good margin of like people who have ADHD are like really working with TikTok and stuff, and it's not really helping, because now like your brain's too stimulating, and then now you're becoming like your brain's like and then now ADHD kicks in. Like, it's not helping, and it really frustrates me how my brain sometimes functions. And I love my brain, but like sometimes it annoys me how my ADHD just kind of switch. And it's kind of weird how some people like just a side point here. It's kind of weird how people kind of it's kind of messed up that people use like autism or ADHD to ignore their problems or reflect from it. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to say how I deal with it. And I will, like, if something happened and I would just blame it on my ADHD, that ain't me. Just saying, that ain't me. But yeah, notice how my brain just veers off. Like sometimes I will just like think about something, and then I want to talk about that, and then I talk about something else, and it's just sometimes it just gets exhausting dealing with that. Like your brain just zooms across and overthinks. It's like you're heating your brain with domain expansion, and then you overheat and just like lobotomy max in your brain, and then overstimulates, and you can't even use RCT to like refresh your brain. So you're cooked. You can't do anything about it. JJK reference. But yeah, guys, it is fine, I would say. Like sometimes it's fine, but like it really does get annoying a lot. So I wouldn't like say like, oh, I want to have ADHD and autism. You don't, okay? It's not really for the faint of heart sometimes. Like some people won't really go like, it's not just like having problems going to school. Like some people will bully you, threaten your life, make fun of you, especially on online, like social media in general. It will get even worse. So I don't like recommend it to anyone, and don't say you want to have it. It will just get worse, and like you'll be like, what do you like? To people who have to deal with it, it's kind of a slap in the face, because we kind of didn't choose to have ADHD and autism. Sure, we like it, and we wouldn't really change who we are, but it's not something that we want to have on a daily basis. Like, we chose it at birth, like, automatically. So, it's not really, like, something you want to, like, have and deal with. Like, it's not. Just telling you, it's not going to be worth it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say, you guys. Have a amazing day. I hope you guys are having a great first day at school, whatever time you're watching this. I hope you guys having I hope your summer was fun. If you feel gloomy, don't worry. Everything's going to get better. And I'll see you on the next one. Arrivederci.